Hello! So I just did that video and about 2 minutes in I realized I was muted, so we're doing this again. Yes, so we are going over the creatures for our character modeling class. We're going to start with gauge, speed sculpt for the line, and then we're going to go over, and starting with Yvette, we're going to finish the critiquing on those. Remember, we're looking at pretty fast feedbacks. We're not going to go too in detail on these. Our goal is to kind of track down and identify different strengths and weaknesses, especially weaknesses on those categories that we discussed in class, right? And that'll allow us to hone in if there's patterns and work on those some more. Okay, so we're going to start with gauges, speed sculpt lion, okay, right here. So overall, the big forms are not bad. I think none of you actually got the main proportion, like the photo. That's fine. You're just indicating a main. It's not a big deal. I will say the big forms overall on the face are good. The head shape is more or less correct. The nose proportions, the eye proportions, the ears where they're supposed to be. Overall correct. The lion's mouth was open, but we'll discuss that in a minute. Maybe. The main thing I think that we can improve on this is more attention to medium forms, I would say. Just kind of defining the medium forms a little bit better and getting the cheek proportions, especially some detail around the eye, small forms. Remember, around the eyes is always going to be important. It's always going to be important. And we can discuss that in class as well. But for now, I would say on the organic end, gauge, definitely we can take a look at medium forms, and we'll see how the next assignment looks like. But overall, I think you did a good job on this for the speed sculpt that it is. You spent some nice time defining the overall clumps and the flow, especially of the mane. But I think that time would have been spent better defining the medium forms over here, especially the lower part of the mouth and just around the mouth and around the eyes and the nose. Yeah, and this is why I like speed sculpts as well as a diagnostic tool, because it allows us to kind of see what you choose to prioritize when you have very limited time. So that's good. Definitely with more time we can refine stuff like this. Very cool. Yeah, I would definitely say big forms are close, and medium forms are going to require work for sure. All right, very cool. Well done, Gage. Well done. Okay, so we're going to go to our companion models and pick up where we left off with Yvette. I actually grab the references as well. I think we had it on pre-production right here. Here we are. Alright, Yvette. There you are. Okay, so we got some nice anatomical charts here and side view for a little red panda. Okay. Let's see what we see. All right. Gonna say this topology looks, I don't know if you decimated it. Looks a little rough on topology, but that's fine. For the high poly. I don't know if this is the low poly. Okay, so the mouth being a little bit open is good. I will say, let's place it side by side right here. Let's take a look at that face, see if we're capturing it properly. So you added a lot of those masses that should be fur, and it's not bad. It's not bad, but it might intervene with when you actually do the fur for the hair cards and all that stuff. The eyes feel a little bit too close together for the relationship with the nose. Not sure. The eyes could be small and they could be a little bit close together. Also notice this kind of pattern, this kind of slope coming down here. So definitely double check medium forms in terms of likeness and overall positioning. We can double check that in class, but overall your forms are looking pretty good. Yeah, this low poly looks almost decimated, and I would advise against that. We want the tighter topology control if we want this guy ready for animation. You can definitely take a look in class. But yeah, a lot of what you've done is you bulked it up to match the kind of the fur, but really what we're going for is kind of skin level, right? So this would probably be a good indicator, just because we want to add the fur a little bit later, probably for the next one. So you did good with the tail, but I think a lot of it is a little bit bulked up. And let's see here. So which leg is gonna be the upper leg? One leg. Yeah, I'm kind of expecting this angle. This is gonna be your the red panda's kind of ankle. It's right here, right? And from here it kind of slips down. So it's usually it's either, if it's flat against the ground like here, notice that the ankle is down, right? But it goes from the knee all the way down to the ankle in a straight line. But if you have this kind of curve, there's nothing like back here because this is the ankle, this is this form. So you mix to match a little bit of the legs on here, and I would address that. That's anatomically, that's very, very important because most of the times the animals are not flat-footed. Quadrupeds are not flat-footed like we are. They usually walk on their tippy toes, like here, and here, right? So I would watch these angles. Even this guy, right? The wrist is going to be up there, and on the hind legs, you know, like this is the ankle right up here, and this one's kind of flat. So, but when it is flat, then it goes straight up. So you're not going to have extra angles like that, right? It's going to go knee and then go straight down. And this is a great indicator with the muscles. So we'll take a look at these for sure and try to look past what the fur is and study more the anatomy. And of course, the topology, I just made a video on zero measure and zero measure guides, which I think would help. And I would probably, before you do that, I would probably dynamesh it once to attach the ears base to the body, so there's a smoother transition. I'll definitely do that. Okay. Overall, good work. Good work. We'll discuss more in class for sure. Alrighty. Next we have Jim. I know you had some progress for me on Discord as well. Let me see if I can find this guy. There you go. Okay, what you sent on Discord looks about the same. Okay, so overall the anatomical forms are pretty close, but I will say that I'm not seeing enough references from the front. And again, for cats, if you're trying to go for, remember we're doing this version without fur first. So I would say the biggest issue that I'm seeing is gonna be just the face likeness, right? So, and also you have it at a kind of snarling expression, and I would still open the mouth, but I would for animation purposes, but I would leave it a little bit more neutral. This is in the eyes. I would try to get a better, more references of like something like a sphinx from the front. Let's see, sphinx cat. So notice the cats have a certain shape language to their face, particularly their triangular, right? Especially specifically house cats, right? So there's almost like a bigger sphere in one side, okay? And Sphinx is a great reference just because it's a furless cat, right? And this is looking directly at us, but generally speaking, the cheeks actually come in a lot more. There's this kind of slope to it if you ignore the ears, which are actually a lot larger as well, in general, because over here on your cats, the ears are big, but a lot of times they don't look huge because of the fur, right? So I will double check those proportions, and I will double check because yeah, you want that nice kind of, it's almost teardrop shape language, right? Where their cranium is very large, especially for house cats. They have a very large cranium compared to the rest of their face. It's very small and petite down here. You know, of course, you'll have your males with big cheeks and whatnot, but even then, it wouldn't be that wide. It wouldn't go scrolling down. This silhouette is more almost akin to a human face, right? Where cats have the cranium is very, very large, and then the mouth and all the nose and all those guys are a little bit here. And even with this guy that has those big cheeks right here, the cranium is still completely overpowering that form, okay? So so for you, I would say take a closer look at big forms, especially for the face. Check out the distance between the ears. Check out the size of the ears. Small tweaks like that. Medium forms are looking good overall, but definitely go back to big forms. Also, I would double check the size of those paws. Yeah, big forms for you, for sure, big forms. Yeah, their paws are a little bit larger because they're a smaller animal, so proportionally they're not going to be the differences. Well, cats in general, actually, even big cats have big paws. So I double check on that. Something else that bothers me a little bit is that you got, again, I really would prefer like a nice neutral position. I understand that they have a curvature to their back most of the time, but yeah, find a relaxed one. Because this cat looks very, very timid, like it's snarling, or is afraid, right? And that's fine if that's what you want to do, but I would definitely look for a more relaxed kind of pose. And double check distances. Cranium, like we said. We're seeing the front of the rib cage over here, and you do see it if you, especially if you have a cat and you pet it, but it's not usually that obvious. I mean, it's this bump right here, okay? That's kind of the front leading edge of that rib cage. But generally speaking, let me see if I can find a relaxed Sphinx cat, if that such a thing even exists. Right, but whenever you find a relaxed pose, it should go a lot smoother like that, because you have the musculature on top of it, and yeah, unless the legs are farther back, you're not really gonna see it. The neck's gonna kind of flow naturally into that form. Let's find a nice side view of this guy. Right, even here, so the neck is gonna flow into it. It's not gonna be like a shelf. It's not gonna be like an angle shift to this degree. Let me find one that's actually not sitting, right? Because when they're sitting, they're puffing out their chest a little bit more. Look at this guy stretching. They're all sitting. They just don't like standing, I guess. I guess they only take their photos when they're... They only take their photos. That's probably going to be as close as we get. It is at a slight angle, but I want you to kind of see the slight curve body language there is here, right? So this bump is there, but usually it's going to curve a little bit better. Okay? Yeah, just spend some time on the research. And you can look at other cats as well. Especially if we look at your reference. This is great for something like this, right? Where the front legs are going to be parallel with the leading edge of the chest and the rib cage and everything, right? So it's not going to be poking out like that. Honestly, a position like that, pose like that, would be better. I understand what you were doing here with the back if you're going for this one, okay? But this cat is walking, so a lot of these cats are walking. So this comes back to research, right? That's one of the categories. So for you, I would definitely say big forms and research, like at the very start. Your medium forms are coming together very nicely. Your application of details coming together very nicely. But we're gonna go back to getting some good references so the pose is relaxed, Jim, and then your proportions, especially on the face, and paws, I think, and you should be golden. This looks very nice. We're just gonna move some things around, and you should be good to go. Very nice, Jim. All right. So take a peek at the topology. Ugh, decimation. No. Tell you guys to use zero measure. All right, Brian. Low poly count, 15K. That's fine. Let's see if I can find Brian. There's Brian. Which one's the dog? This is the dog. All right. So, okay, good start on topology. You lost a bunch of things. I think that video I made for you will help for sure. Good face. Good face overall. I think you're over defining the brow ridge, making it sound like all angry and growling. We want a nice neutral position. They do have a little bit of it, but it's not going to be like protruding like it does for humans. Okay. And I wish you didn't use such a dark gray and gradient. It makes it very hard to see. Makes it very, very hard to see. I want a flat gray and light gray on here, just so we can see everything a lot more easily. But yeah, I would avoid expressions. This looks like an expression, and you don't want that. You don't want that on a neutral pose that you're building for animation, okay? Those paws look great. I would double check the thickness of the claws. They tend to be a lot thicker and kind of worn down for a mature dog. Even for puppies, they run around. Yeah, just kind of neutralize that expression. Double check with the ears that they're connected where they need to be connected, but don't intersect with the. They don't intersect with the forms where they don't need to. And I'm not sure what this is. See this line, the shadow right here? I mean, the ears are fairly thin, So it looks like a bodybuilder is like flexing the arms down with the ears. The forms are looking great. Big forms looking great. Medium forms looking great. A little bit of lumpiness over here. Here's usually going to be a nice smooth slope from head. Yeah, and I definitely want you to double check the silhouette up here. There's usually a nice curve to this that goes from the eyes and over here as well. You can see on the lines, like it's very, very straight. So you have it a little bit curvy, a little bit too expressive for what it is. I would double check the distance of the ears. They feel a little bit farther back. This area overall, I think, needs work. This leg feels super long from the side view. There's definitely some problems with side view. The legs feel, especially for this kind of dog, the legs feel very long and the torso feels a little bit short. Double check this. Some issues with big forms, I would say. Your medium forms are beautiful. Proportions are overall good. But I would double check that side view against some silhouette, Brian. All right, very nice work. All right, Cameron. I already see one issue. That's Cameron. Nice, Cameron. All right, we're doing this like that. Okay. So one important issue, Cameron, is that we are going to be doing the fur separately, not sculpting it. So that's already a problem. Big problem. That said, the sculpted fur actually looks very nice. I'm just gonna critique that because that's what you turned in, right? But we're trying to we're gonna be working on hair cards this week, so this looks like it's a part of the mesh, so you'll probably have to redo the whole thing. Sorry. Yeah. So also, if you're gonna do something like this, don't make it symmetrical, or at the very least, don't make it symmetrical where you can see both sides, right? So if this side was exactly the same as the other side, then that's fine. But whenever they're gonna be side by side, it's gonna be super obvious like this. So avoid that. I think you broke some of the symmetry here on these two right here. This one's not symmetrical and this one's not symmetrical, right? But all of these are, you know, and it's gonna be pretty easy to see. You know what I mean? It's gonna be pretty easy to see. So especially front and top views, anything that you can see, just make sure that you have, even if it's like 80% symmetrical, all you got to do is have a few that break it up significantly, and then it avoids that. But yeah, the assignment was to not do the fur in ZBrush. In terms of proportions, I think you got the head a little bit too small, and specifically, I would study their faces a lot more as well. There's a certain mass to their lower face. You made it a little bit too flat, and I mean, apes in general have flat faces, but notice on here it kind of comes out a little bit more. I think finding some better silhouettes. Again, chimp is just going to be a different animal, but notice the slope where it goes down, and then where the mouth comes out a lot more than for us, for example, right? So I will double check that. Yeah, that's what I got for you on this one. That's what I got for you on this one. Yeah, I can't really critique the anatomy because there's a bunch of fur on it. Some proportions could use work as well. All right. Kishan! Let's check it out. Where's Kishan? There he is. Alright, we got a fox. You do the last one? No more pages? Okay, cool. So we're gonna wrap it up with Kishan. Wow! Alright, Kishan. So again, we are modeling this for animation, and for that purpose, it will need to be completely symmetrical in terms of the pose, right? The details don't have to be symmetrical, but the pose definitely should be. So the fact that it's looking to the side and stuff, that'll be good for when you're making a sculpt, but less so when you're making a kind of like a neutral model that we want to topologize and rig and get it ready for an animator. Okay. In terms of proportions, I would definitely say some of them are a little bit off. In this case, the paws are too large. Cats tend to have larger paws, larger looking paws, likely because of the retractable claws. And yeah, some of the forms, I would say big forms here especially, are gonna need work before we can move on. We don't see a lot of indication for medium forms. There are some medium and small forms on the face, but big forms are gonna be absolutely a thing that needs to be mastered, right? So that means that we want those proportions on point. You don't even need to worry about medium forms. I would just to improve as a modeler in general, like definitely hone in on understanding proportions and getting them getting that form, whatever it is, right? You break it down into an abstract shape, right? Whatever it is, could be the head, could be anything else, could be the snout, right? And just breaking that down into exactly what it is, simplifying that into boxes, cylinders, spheres, whatever it is, and just placing them proportionally. I think that would be great practice for you. I think you do that for a little bit, and it'll click for you, right? And yeah, a lot of this feels like you filled it up with where the fur masses would be, but we are only looking for anatomy, so we'll work on that as well, as long as you're willing. Okay. All right. Very cool. And I don't believe I forgot anybody. So with that, we will call it. I know with Gage, we still got to talk about the dog, but that's fine. So yeah, hopefully you all have a nice, safe, and warm weekend. And we will see you in class. Thank you very much.